one of you. It's like echo in my heart. That's what I would like to say. Like when I was listening to Habib today, yeah, oh, well, this is, I take the brochure of my foundation and say that her words are written in my foundation, in the same, I mean, so it is, now it is something that is beyond imagination, that what is going on, the shift of consciousness and the transformation is going on without any apparent leader. It's not seen, it's hidden, but it is strong and it is energizing. And that's, and yes. And that's why I think that's, coming from everywhere, like I'm coming from Egypt, people come from New Zealand, coming from the United States, and just from Cyprus, from everywhere to be here. It's very energizing. That is something that will create energy and will create hope, and it has an impact beyond this, small gathering. Although it's not a small gathering, but I mean it's going to be an impact on the at the level of the whole globe. So we have to work. We all are.
I've got a couple questions, but I'll limit it to one. Edward from Canada. I agree with you, the climate is changing. I mean, I've seen that over my lifetime, and I've talked to my father, and he's also seen that in his lifetime, that things are changing. I guess I have to ask, do you think humans are arrogant in thinking they can change it to keep it as it is, when in Antarctica we find fossils of dinosaurs and tropical vegetation? So at one point, we were a very warm planet, or the planet was shaped differently, whatever. Now we've gone through a cooling off period. The dinosaurs would think, yeah, great, we get rid of these human viruses and we get back to the good life. We're now going to a global warming. Should humans not be more adaptable and say, okay, I'm going to lose my ocean front in California, and I'm going to have to move up to Nevada to have oceanfront now. Will this new spirituality and feminine energy take some of the arrogance out of the human system?
Yeah. Let me take the physical part, and then my wife will take the spiritual part. Saskatoon, for instance, and whereby things is melting there, and the season is differences. You talk to your father, the farmers in Canada. Doesn't matter where you are, in Manitoba or in Calgary or in, whatever, Montreal. Things is changing tremendously. What I'm saying here is that, yes, if we stop now all the lethal gases which is causing climate change, if we do this, now they are talking about 25% in the next 10 years. You're talking this 25%, and this is an impact on industry, impact on petroleum, impact on people who are doing trade for coal mining and all that. It's an economical freak for certain people who deal with these businesses. But even if we stop all this, say, imagine leaders can take a decision now, stop everything which is causing the gases, which is causing climate change. It will take us 85 years to see a dent in the increase of temperature. Therefore, we're putting brakes, but the brakes was 2 centigrade, this was 10 years ago, and now we are hoping not more than 4 centigrade by year 2040. There was a report from the World Bank who say why we should avoid having a world with more than 4 centigrade. This is a reality. But in order to cope with this, we need a lot of knowledge, and share the knowledge with from the sinners to the victims. The victims are always in the developing countries. And most industrial countries which is producing this and affecting this, they have to, with responsibility, they have not only to generate knowledge, share the knowledge with these people to adapt. Then adaptation is our hope, not mitigation. Mitigation is to stop the gases. Adaptation is to have a better management techniques in the field, to use water better, to have genetic resources for crops which will tolerate the 4 centigrade. All this needs science, all this needs new knowledge. Then we need with the responsibility to have to share this with each other. Spiritual part of this is...
This is where science is wedded to the feminine energy. You know what I mean? Because we cannot speak about feminine energy as something that's metaphysical. It is in action. So when my husband is talking about the ways that it should be done in order to really solve something, either we are going to survive or we are going to destroy ourselves. So the collaboration and then the compassion and the love, and then this is a motivation behind any action. And then never mind if you call it, you know, feminine, or we don't call it feminine, but they're just coming together and being responsible about for all. I'm responsible, you know, everyone is responsible for what's going on in the climate change. When I leave the light on and leave my room, I made something that's very bad, because I think that it's, you know, it's another mind, it's 5 minutes and I'm coming back. For 5 minutes for everyone who is going to do the same thing is going to count. So if with that kind of awareness, with kind of that I'm not going to open the tap while I'm washing my face or something like that, and then just using what I need, that kind of appreciation and gratitude. Every day when we come up and then we find that we have the light, we have the air condition, we have all this kind of facility which is really given to us through science, and we have to be grateful for what we have, and then we have to keep that. So it's a kind of, you know, it's an everyday life to keeping, it's not arrogant, but it's an everyday life to take the responsibility for doing our duty, our responsibility, and to be aware of the threat which is coming. And it is that from everyone, the scientists, they are doing their job by, you know, searching how to do it, what can we do, and then the politicians, they have to take the same responsibility if they have this feminine power behind them, because feminine power is not something that's related to men and women. It is a quality of compassion and love and relationship. So this is something that we have. We need it very much, and as well the same thing. You know, I mean, it's the same need, not less than, you know, not less than progressing and advancing in science to solve our problems.
Hello, my name is Kim Conrad. I'm from Colorado. And it's more just wanting to say a thank you. I had a huge aha when you were talking about an answer to her question about new spiritual leaders. I talk a lot about knowledge is only rumor until it becomes our body, and we become it. And when you said that we are all spiritual leaders, I saw our entire earth body and the universal body actually becoming through us as spiritual leaders. So it really truly is becoming the whole body. And I thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I am an engineer, so perhaps I don't know if I can say some thoughts on climate change. And generally, in our era, we use alibis. I mean, of course, there is climate change, and of course, fossil fuel gases are creating problems. This is certain. But also, we have I'll take the example from Egypt that I worked for several years. Egypt wanted to increase the production of crops. Aswan Dam has been constructed. The water that Nile was carrying, the discharge of Nile was minimized. So the discharge of sediment, the sediment transport to the coast was minimized, and then the delta started to erode. And this is not a result of climate change. This is a result from wrong strategies and human stupidity. So these kind of examples we find everywhere. So for me, being an engineer and expert, I would say, in climate change and coastal dynamics, I'm fed up of listening this climate change alibi, in the sense that we can do strategies, local strategies, knowing our local environment. And this is one thing I wanted to say. And then the second is that I feel that we are in a much better position now because of this digital revolution. I believe there is more democracy in information flow. And I was yesterday in the Museum of New Delhi, and we saw that Alexander the Great, and I will use this example from my compatriot, Alexander the Great, when he was conquering Persia, Iran, today's Iran, he was a winner there of a battle, and he killed 20,000 soldiers in a couple of hours. I'm sure that those days in Canada, nobody knew that Alexander the Great was killing 20,000 people in. But now we all know and we feel compassionate about what's happening in our world. So I am, in a sense, I think we are in the merge of a change. And I believe that education all over this world is the most important issue, because if we don't give importance in education, we cannot have any kind of moral in growing up people. Thank you.
Well, you know, I have great admiration for all the countries in the Mediterranean, including your beloved country, Cyprus. I've been to it several times. But I wish, let me speak about democracy and knowledge dissemination because of the digital issue. This is not true. A lot of information is not there. We are talking about science and innovations and so on. I mean, patent, as well as the intellectual property right, as well as companies. For instance, companies dealing with medicine. They have a lot of new medicine, which could be, if it is available now in the market, could make a hell of a change. But they would like first to get the money, they put in the research and development, and then after that, they release a new medicine. And therefore, it's not simple. It's not simple. There is barriers. And the barriers will never come down if we don't see ourselves as one. Because it's my company against other company, it's my nation against other nation, it's our African pride against other ethnicity. This cannot be helped. Even people who are occupying countries now, they make justification. We have one single example which is still persists up till now. This is, for me, it's savagery as it was before. Cannibalism is still there. Aggression from man to man is still there. It is in the Middle East. We live it. It is everywhere in the world. I've been working in Latin America for years. It is there. Then we impose aggression. But the physical issue is beyond the engineer.